Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to give people a minute or two to trickle in, and then we'll get started. All right, it looks like the number of participants has stabilized, and so we're going to get started. I'd like to welcome everyone to what is our fourth quarterly Metrc user call. My name is John Hudak. I'm the director of the Office of Cannabis Policy, and I'd like to introduce some of the OCP staff who are on the call also today. We have the Deputy Director of Operations, Vern Malik, the Deputy Director of Strategic Initiatives, Lisa Roberts, the Director of Data Analytics, John Gagnon, the Director of Media and Stakeholder Relations, Lexi Susi, and our Director of Special Projects, Tracy Jakes. To talk a little bit about why we're here today, we're here because of recommendations from the Metrc user work group. As the work group members made the office aware, licensees don't have necessarily a direct way of sharing feedback with Metrc, and so we are using these quarterly calls to aim to achieve that type of feedback mechanism. There's obviously more work to be done, but I've been pleased with the first three Metrc user calls. We're finding that a lot of the questions that are out there are getting answered. When we don't have answers at the ready, we can communicate with Metrc, and we do, and get answers back from them in writing. And we've been hearing some really positive feedback from licensees that these calls have really helped overcome some of the challenges that they're facing on a day-to-day basis, or in some cases on an ongoing basis. But we've also gotten some really positive feedback that Metrc is really making changes and taking seriously the need to improve processes for licensees and to be serious about this type of feedback. We know we're not Metrc, and as I said, we might not be able to have answers at the ready for all of your questions today, but we will communicate those questions to Metrc as we've done for the first three calls and get answers back from them as well. We also in some cases, we'll take the opportunity to follow up with you one-on-one if it's a question that is very specific to your business or to your license, or questions that you have that aren't necessarily out there for everyone. As I said, Metrc has provided comments to us after each call. We've put the link in the chat to previous comments and recordings as well. All of the previous Metrc calls are on our YouTube page. This one will be as well. And so if you happen to miss one, no worries, you can go back and check those out. There were no written comments from the last call in October. This is because Metrc was on that call and addressed the questions directly at that time. Before we formally segue into the meeting, there are a few housekeeping items that I'd like to go over. First, and most important, it's critical that things remain respectful. There's plenty of passion in this industry, which is what's helping it to succeed, but please keep comments and questions focused on the issues here, the issues we're here to solve in respect to one another. This meeting, as I mentioned, is being recorded. The video will be shared after the meeting on OCP's YouTube page, so please know that anything shared here will be public record. If you have a question, we ask that you please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen to let us know, and we'll call on you in order as they pop up. In addition to that, when you do have a question, it's important for you to introduce yourself, ideally the name and the business that you're working with, so that if we do need to follow up with you at a later date, we have that information at the ready. We'd like to take questions as we've done on previous calls by category, and those categories will be in the following order. First, batch tracking. Second, customer service. Third, functionality and API. Fourth, training and user experience. Fifth, reports and testing. And then finally, we'll end with any miscellaneous questions that didn't exactly fit into those buckets. So with that, we'll open it up to any questions or feedback related to the topic of batch tracking. And once again, please remember to use the raise hand function when you have a question. Okay. I don't see any hands raised on batch tracking. All right, we will move on to customer service. If you have a question on customer service, please feel free to raise your hand. All right, seeing none on customer service. Functionality and API. Does anyone have questions related to functionality or API? Okay, this is efficient today, everyone. The next category are questions related to training and user experience. I know that we did have a question come in during the sign-up process that we can tackle. We'll tackle that one first, and then we'll open it up to any other questions. Lexi, do you want to read that question off, or did you drop it into the chat already?
Apologies. I can read it off. Is there specific training for manufacturers, as it appears that Metrc Learn only covers cultivation and retail?
Okay, just to reiterate that, your audio was a little broken up, at least on my end, Lex. Is there specific training for manufacturers, as it appears that Metrc Learn only covers cultivation and retail? Lisa, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so there is a training journey available for manufacturers. I'm going to put a link in the chat right now that you can use to register to get that access. And if for any reason you have any issues with that, you can just go to Metrc support and open a ticket, and they will add this to your account. But for each of the 4 license types, or well, 3 license types in this case, there is a training pathway for you. So whether cultivation, retail, or manufacturing, there is specific training available, and this link will get you there.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. All right, please use your raise hand function if you have any additional questions related to training and user experience. All right, seeing none, the last category, questions related to reports and testing. Does anyone have questions related to reports and testing? Please use the raise hand function. All right, last but not least, I'll open it up to any general questions that didn't necessarily fit into those buckets that you have related to Metrc. Once again, please just use your raise hand function. Okay, well, I guess we're efficient today, not a lot of questions. I'd like to thank everyone for participating. We're committed to continuing to take in feedback, whether it's through formal processes like these or other communications, one-off communications that you may have with the office. We're going to continue to do that in order to strengthen the relationship that we have, and especially strengthen the relationship between licensees and Metrc. The recording of this call, however short it was, will be available on the YouTube page. As I noted, we've been doing these calls for a year now. This is our 4th one. So we're going to be evaluating the frequency and format to determine what will be most valuable moving forward. What we've found is that with each successive Metrc user call, there have been both fewer participants and fewer questions, which in a lot of ways is what we wanted. We wanted these calls to really be able to settle some of the challenges that people are having and deal with that feedback. And so we anticipated some decrease in the number of questions and participants. And so my guess is in the new year, we'll be doing these less frequently and not quite quarterly, but we'll be addressing those internally and communicating with licensees with what we decide to do moving forward. So stay tuned for more information on that. And for all of you, have safe and happy holidays and a happy new year as well.